Alright guys, back at it again, and this time I have a review for The New Running Man, directed by Edgar Wright. Alright guys, so I got to see the new Edgar Wright movie, The Running Man, based on the Stephen King novel. There was the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie that came out, I believe, the 80s, hopefully. I never seen that movie. I've never got around to seeing it. I'll say some of that Arnold 80s stuff has never really been my forte, but I definitely would like to go back and check it out. But from what I understand, it's not really, not really close to the book at all. Apparently this new movie is closer to the book. So going in, didn't have a lot to go off of, other than I really like Edgar Wright. Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, two of the best comedies. Shaun of the Dead's a classic. And I really like Baby Driver. So going in, I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Those movies that I've seen previously, I do really enjoy. So going in, basically to run down The Running Man real quick. Follows Ben Richards, played by Glen Powell. He has to join this game to basically help his family. His daughter has the flu. They're struggling, and he has to join the game, The Running Man, to gain this money. This game is basically takes 3 people, and they have a group of hunters that try to hunt them down. Civilians or people can join in if they want to, which would also gain them money. There's a certain amount if you spot them, a certain amount if you actually make the kill. But then, yeah, you have the hunters that are trying to kill them. There's some other details within that. I think, as far as the movie goes, I think the concept is super cool. I get why the book was adapted and used, because it is a very dope concept. The whole Running Man idea, I mean, it's basically, you could see it made into a video game, really. I mean, maybe there is a video game out there, I'm not really sure. But yeah, it's super dope concept, and I think this movie definitely puts you in that world and has fun with it, throughout the movie. So with this movie, I think with the concept, it worked well in spurts, and there's some messiness to it, mostly in the third act, but through and through, if you're going in for a fun action movie, I think it does do its job overall. But let's get into the positives. I think Glen Powell's really good in it. I'm definitely a Glen Powell fan to a point. Like, I've definitely liked the more and more he's been in. It seems like he's getting a push now as a star. I definitely think his personality definitely radiates, especially in this movie. Like I said, the biggest positive is the concept, which is more of a Stephen King thing, but I think Edgar Wright knew what he was doing in getting and redoing this movie from the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, and making it closer to the book. And I think also what this movie does really well that goes along with the concept, it does a really good job, which it relates to today's society really well, is the idea of the people listening to the media too much, just automatically whatever's said on the news or whatever has to be true. And this movie really pushes that idea, and people really get behind these, because they try to make Ben Richards' character look bad, and instantly it is believed because it's what you see on TV, it's what you consume. And this movie just does a really good job of showing you the negative effects of that, and how you shouldn't always trust the media, and you shouldn't trust the bigger organizations. Because, Josh Brolin plays I think it's Dan Killian, plays the head of it all, head of the Running Man. He's trying to come off in the beginning as this guy trying to help Ben Richards, but really he's going to try his hardest to get the ratings up, and then when he needs to get rid of Ben, he will do so. or try to. I also want to point out, I think Colin Domingo plays the host. One of my favorite parts of this movie, I just think he plays that part perfectly. Every time he's on the screen, I just got... I believed in what his character was. And his character kind of being this fake persona, but, you know, doing his job. And I really enjoyed his performance as well. Josh Brolin was solid. There's some other good ones throughout the movie. Michael Cera is a fun one as well. That comes in later on in the movie. There's some good comedy with Michael Cera, as there always is. But yeah, through and through, I just think this movie is it's a fun action film. You can get out of it. At the very least, they have some good action moments. It has a good theme to it. It is very much a turn your brain off popcorn flick in spurts, even though it does have a good message to it overall. You see the Edgar Wright style. While I think his style gets a little goofy too much, in my opinion, with this movie, it's definitely apparent. But if you like your Edgar Wright movies, I think you'll still enjoy this movie overall. But yeah, so now let's get into the negatives. Negative-wise, this movie is very messy in spots, and especially in the third act. I don't think the third act holds up as well. There's a lot of added characters that don't really get the proper development because this movie's... It's like if you're in a game, and that aspect is going to really be a lot for people. Because you're on this journey, and you see a certain character that you talk to for a little bit, but then that character means absolutely nothing as the movie goes on. I just don't think that works for a movie. I think character development is insanely important, and there's some characters, especially towards the end. There's a female character, I think Amelia, or however you pronounce it. Her character kind of just gets thrown into loop, and you're supposed to... There's this back and forth between her and Ben Richards, and you're supposed to see both sides, but like in the same respect, like care for this character. And I just never get on board because it's just introduced so fast, and there's just not enough development. The writing is not quite there. And a lot of that happens in the second half. We're just throwing things left and right and left. And we think is the ending, and that's the ending. And it's very messy, and I just don't think it really comes together in the third act. And that's really my biggest negative. There is an inherent cheesiness or goofiness to it that I don't love in spurts, because we're getting this awesome dramatic moment, and the next thing you know, you got to turn your brain off for this cheesiness part. I love cheesiness. I'm a horror fan. I love slashers. Don't get me wrong, but and a lot of Edgar Wright movies, there is that. But to me, it's a lot smarter than it is in this movie, or smartly done than it is in this movie and other movies. And I would say that the last negative that I really have, you can feel the length. This movie's 2 hours and 15 minutes. Why can't we get... This is why I had a really enjoyed Predator Badlands. Why can't we get these fun action films that don't have to be 2 hours and 15 minutes? It's not necessary. This movie's too long. I get it's this game type... Even though it's not based on a game, it feels like a game type movie, and sometimes you tend to want to be a little longer, but I just don't feel like this movie to me would be way better in a TV series. It should have been a TV series. I just think it works so much better. You can flush out these characters. You can flush out this game even more. And I just think in a movie, it just doesn't totally work because you're trying to jam everything in. And then you feel the length by the end, which sucks because I just think the third act's not nearly as good, which made me not really want to go back to this movie ever again. It's not bad. It's fine. I think if you're Edgar Wright fan, which I believe I am to an extent, I think you can get a lot out of it, but I just don't think there's a lot to hold on to outside of some of the positives I said earlier. But grade-wise, again, I haven't figured out my grading yet, so if you have some ideas, let me know down in the comments. But sticking with the letter grade stuff for now, I'd give this movie a C. It's fine. It's decent. It's not bad. It's just okay. It's a movie. I'm going to say it's a TV movie, but I don't want to quite say that because I do think this is a theater popcorn movie that you can have fun with. But after you see it in the theaters, I don't really think it's one of those TV movies that you just randomly see in that case. And then you might keep on, but just because there's fun moments. But like I said, has its moments, has some fun characters, some decent performances, really good message. The message is probably my favorite part, but granted, that's more of a Stephen King thing. Granted, I don't know how much. I'm sure the message is a big part of the movie or the book, but by the end, the third act just kind of puts a bad taste, not a bad taste in your mouth, but just doesn't really live up to the rest of the movie. And that's unfortunate. But yeah, guys, that's my review for The Running Man. I don't know what I have coming out the rest of the week. You have to stay tuned. There's not really a ton coming out in the rest of the November. I know we have Avatar coming out in December, as long as some other notable movies in December. I know next year is going to be huge. You have Scream, which I will have a ranking of Scream on this channel, of the franchise. I'm a huge fan of the franchise in general. And you have, I can't wait for the Ready or Not sequel. I mean, there's a lot to get excited for. The new 28 Years Later movie. So there's a lot to get excited for as the year progresses. Obviously, the end of the year, I'll have my top 10 movies of the year and top 10 worst. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, through and through, go check it out for yourself. And as always, guys, I'll see you next time.